Hey guys, thank you so much for coming to my insecure chat for this week. If you were in the room, say hello so I can give you a shout out. So this episode I felt like wasn't as good as last week's episode. It still was probably better than the first two episodes of this season, but I didn't think it was like fabulous or mind blowing. I didn't feel like we found out very much information. The biggest takeaway that I got from it, and maybe this is just something that I read too much into, is that I was wondering when Lawrence tried to speak with Issa. And she got interrupted by the phone call. I was wondering if maybe he was going to tell her that either I thought that he was going to tell her that he broke up with Condola after like the weird stuff that happened between him and Condola last week. But then I was also wondering if it wasn't that, if he wanted to like tell her like he would like to hang out with her sometime or something. There was just something like really interesting, and I think it had to do with his either feelings toward her or with his relationship with Condola or something along those lines, that something personal that he wanted to tell her, but then he realized when her opening act dropped out, like she was not in any kind of mood to get that kind of information, so that didn't happen. So I'm interested to see where this goes, because obviously I love Lawrence and Issa, and I would like to see something happen with them. I am a little bit surprised if he already broke up with Condola, so I'm not really sure if that's what's happened, but I'm just curious to find out. Also wondering like what you guys thought about that exchange. So Molly this week really made me nervous because I was almost certain she was going to destroy things between her and Andrew. I mean, she kept putting him off over and over and over and like canceling plans. And I mean, if someone kept doing that to me, I would just think they don't really like me that much, or they've got someone else that they are really spending time with. I mean, I think he knew that she was working and everything, but like when he came to her house and she said she would be done by 9, and then she looks at her watch or whatever and it was almost 2 a.m., like I think most people would be pretty upset. But it wasn't just that standalone thing. She kept canceling on him for work, and I get that work is like really important, but if you make the decision to have a relationship, you have to make that important too and find a balance there. And we still have kind of this fabricated beef between Issa and Molly, which I know some people talked to me in the comments of my video last week how they didn't really feel like they understood what was going on between them, like why they aren't vibing and like why that's an issue. And I do kind of feel like it's a forced thing that was kind of made up by the show writers, and not really sure where we're going with that, only to say I do think they will eventually make up and everything. But Issa really needed her help with a headliner for the block party, and she needed, her to ask Andrew. And then she decided after they actually had a good conversation, her and Andrew, about like, her making him a priority and everything, and he's going to try to stick around and they're going to try to work on it. And then after that conversation, she did not want to approach him about getting a headliner for Issa's block party, and I know Issa was like really let down after that conversation. So I still think with the Molly situation with Andrew that she's in some murky waters here. I don't feel confident that things will work out between them. I hope that they do, but I think it's definitely been mostly her who is making things tough for them. And I guess they're exclusive now. I can't remember if they had that conversation or not. So that's good. But I just feel like she definitely needs to make him a priority, because I don't think he will keep putting up with more and more stuff, because it's almost like every week she's doing something wrong in every episode, like to push him away. And I know she's not trying to do that. But like she was trying to tell him last night that she usually doesn't stay in a relationship long enough to even have these types of issues. So she doesn't even know how to prioritize a guy. Hi, Shira. Hi, Antoine. Thank you guys so much for being here. What did you guys think about last night's episode? So, I really do want it to work out for Molly and Andrew, but I'm very concerned. I mean, I think if we have one more episode where she's causing drama, I think he's going to leave. I think he cares about her and everything, but I don't think he cares about her to the point that he's going to let her like walk all over him. Thank you, Antoine. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much for being here. But I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on what's going on with Molly and Issa's friendship, what's going on with Molly and Andrew's relationship. What was Lawrence trying to tell Condola before he felt like he didn't need to say anything because she was so upset? Shirwa says, you really don't see Molly and Andrew working out. It seems like they're always having problems. I'm kind of leaning toward that. I think I mentioned that like in last week's live chat, and I know some people were upset in the comments because they really want to see something good happen for Molly. So when I say I don't feel like it's really going to work out, I don't mean that I don't want to see Molly happy or I don't think she deserves a good relationship, but they're having a lot of problems. And I think this has been going on for 2 months, and it's just like a lot of pretty big problems for a brand new relationship. And I do think she's like 90% to blame for the problems, but I also think she's not consciously trying to start dramas or start problems. So again, I don't think she's been in a really like healthy relationship, so she doesn't really know which way to act. And I think it's possibly going to cost her this relationship. However, I could see if this ends up not working, I could see down the road them reconnecting within the show. And if that happens, I would kind of like to see her get with someone else and have like a long relationship, like for a few months or like a year. And I would not mind seeing her come back to Andrew when she was like more mature for a relationship. And I mean, I guess it seems kind of weird because I think everyone's like in their 30s in this show. So it does seem a bit bizarre that she hasn't had a very long relationship at this point and she needs to know like how to treat a guy and all of that. But I definitely think that she's lacking in that area. So regardless of how old she is, I think she needs to get that figured out because you could just tell when she was with Simone, the baby, I think she, like Tiffany's baby, I think she wants to be like a mom. I think she was really into that scene and like was thinking about how she would like to kind of have a life like that one day. But I definitely don't think she's ready for that at all. And she's very career driven, which I think is amazing. But again, she is making the choice to try to have a relationship with someone, and she wants it to be an exclusive relationship. She wants it to be a boyfriend-girlfriend thing, which she has said and stressed to Andrew. But at the same time, she was not putting in the work to make it that way. Now, after this episode, she says she's going to put in the work, so we're going to have to see what happens. But like I said a little bit earlier, if she ends up causing problems again next week, and I haven't had a chance to watch the preview for next week because I always watch on HBO Go and I just didn't watch it yet. So I think if she causes drama once again with him, whether it's next week or the next, I'm thinking that he's leaving. And honestly, when she was in the bathroom like calling Issa, I thought actually maybe he had broken up with her because I think he's been pretty understanding through all of this, and I definitely thought that in this episode he was going to leave because, he's put up with a lot of stuff from her. And again, it's not like her issues in the relationship are like huge, huge problems. It's stuff that she could fix. But I think he is not feeling very appreciated or very important, which I would feel the same way if someone kept canceling on me, even if it was for their job, because again, she is making the conscious decision to enter an exclusive relationship, but she's not putting in the work for that. No one's forcing her to be with Andrew. So if someone was with me and they were always like, well, I'm sorry, but I have to do work, and then especially when we would make plans and they would have to cancel for work, like over and over and over or whatever, I would just be like, I'm not a priority. So I think this needs to be over. Antoine says Molly can't help herself. She thinks everyone's going to be a fairy tale. That's a really good point. And I think, when Issa told her in a couple episodes ago, like, she doesn't know if she wants to be happy and she got super offended by that. She wants the person to be on her terms. So it's not just that she wants like a Prince Charming. She wants them to know what to do around her schedule and how to talk to her, whatever way in her mind she feels like that person should be. So she feels like, she even made a statement, I think, to Tiffany about Andrew, like, oh, he's cool with whatever I do. Like if I got a work thing or whatever, basically she was like saying he doesn't care if I have to put something else before him, if it's work or whatever. He's supportive in that. And that wasn't true at all. Like, she was just imagining that, or I think she was hoping that he would be okay with it. And he wasn't. And I think most people wouldn't be okay with being second to something else in someone's life. Shira says Molly definitely wants a more traditional lifestyle, so it's confusing that she's always picking guys that don't want that like Dro. Yeah, or maybe she's picking guys like that because she's afraid of actually having something super real. So she knows if she picks people that will never give her what she wants, she doesn't have to get that invested, because I feel like we haven't seen her be super emotionally invested in someone or in love with someone. And a lot of scary stuff comes with those emotions because, if you get super invested with someone, if it's someone that you could actually see yourself having a life with, and then there's no guarantees that that's going to work out, then that could be really crushing for her. And I've definitely seen other people just in real life who will always pick someone to date that they know is not going to work out, because that way when it doesn't work out, it's like, oh, whatever, because I knew that wasn't going to work out, instead of like really going for what you want, because there's a chance that what you really want might not work out too. So I think she's definitely in a unique situation because I feel like maybe from what we've seen in the show that Andrew is like the first person that she really cares about him. And I mean what she said to Issa I think was very true, that she doesn't want anything to mess this up even though she's been messing it up. But like she wants it to work. She's going to put in the work. I think she deep down wants this to work. I think deep down she would like to see it work beyond boyfriend, girlfriend, like marriage, kids, all of that. I really think that is what she's thinking. I don't really think we will get there this season or next with her and Andrew. Again, I see them not working out, but I see them working out later in the show. For those of you who have ever watched like Sex and the City, sometimes things like that would happen where two people were like really good for each other, but at the time, the timing was off and they wouldn't be good for each other. And like they would break up and you would kind of forget about this love interest. And then the girl would date like someone else for a long time. And then down the road, they would like be reunited and have matured and be like, oh, this is what we both want right now. Antoine says Issa and Lawrence are getting back together 100%. I definitely see that happening. And I see that happening this season. I don't know if they're going to go all the way and make that happen or make that like a cliffhanger for the end of the season or hinting at it in the last episode. At first, I didn't know if we were going to get that, them reunited this season, but I really think he was going to tell her he broke up with Condola or is thinking about breaking up with Condola. What do you guys think he was going to say before she got interrupted with the phone call? Because if it's not that, then I think maybe it was, I almost want to say he wanted to still say like he would like to hang out with her or get a drink with her sometime, but I don't see him doing that if he still was dating Condola because I don't think he's going to just straight up cheat on Condola, especially since Condola and Issa are friends. So I'm hoping next week we kind of get some more information about what he wanted to tell her. But to me, it seemed like he was either going to say he broke up with her or things are not going well with her or they're having issues or something. Because as soon as he saw like what mind frame she was in, he was like, I can't talk to you about this right now, So did you guys have any other thoughts about this episode? What do you guys think about Molly and Issa's friendship? Do you think they'll work it out within this season? Do you feel like it's kind of a forced beef that the two of them have, or does it make sense to you? Do you understand why they're not vibing right now? I think that's pretty much everything that happened of note in this episode. Because it was heavily focused on Molly and Andrew, which I was fine with. Shira thinks Condola broke up with him, and that's why Condola's been MIA. So, yeah, so I think we saw from the text thread between Issa and Condola that Issa was having some difficulties talking to Condola. This, I believe, was the first episode of the season, which is just episode 4, but the first episode where Condola had no presence in at all. So, Condola definitely, she kind of surprised me last week with her different viewpoints on things, and she definitely surprised Lawrence because it sounds like she doesn't want a family, doesn't want to get married, or at least that's what she's thinking right now. And it was definitely eye-opening because it seemed like where she was in her life and what she wanted for her life was not in sync with what Lawrence was wanting, and he had no idea. So if they do break up, I think, or if they did break up, I think, it makes sense because I don't think they're on the same page right now. I did at first think they were going to be really, really good together, but I was really surprised to see a different side of her. Well, there's nothing wrong with that because everyone has their own thoughts and everyone wants to do their own things with their life. And I don't think, her thoughts were wrong because she's been married before. She was in a failed marriage and everything. So for her, she's not ready for that, or she's not even thinking about that, like in the near future or a year from now, I feel like. And doesn't want a family right now or maybe ever. So I don't think it's wrong to have those thoughts. I just think that it was not how any of us thought she was feeling, especially Lawrence. And I think he took a step back like, oh, so what's going on here? What is my role in your life? Are we just hooking up? Is this gonna go anywhere, or are we just having fun right now? When I think before he thought they were headed for something like a lot bigger, like they were gonna be in a serious relationship and everything. So, but yeah, I'm kind of interested to see next week's episode to see if we find out what exactly is going on with Condola and Lawrence. I'm here for that storyline. And then I hope we kind of figure out what they're going to do with Molly and Andrew, because it seems like every week we've just had the same scenario with them. It's like she does something to make him mad and he's aggravated and we don't know where the relationship is going. So we've spent a lot of time with that same storyline. Now, after this week's episode, they talked about working things out and he's still going to stick around. But I feel like we're kind of in a pattern of this over and over and over. So I hope we don't replay that same scenario next week. Like, or just move away from that storyline, or either they break up or they're doing good or something. But I think we're all kind of tired of this. It seems to replay every week that they have relationship issues. It's usually her fault. He thinks about leaving or whatever, and somehow he agrees to stay. Hi, Jay. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I really like this show. If you have some extra time, it's easy to watch because the episodes are so short. I think they're less than 30 minutes and they're on HBO Go. But I decided to binge it maybe 2 years ago, because I kept seeing it advertised on HBO Go, and I was like, I don't know, it sounds interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not, but I'll try it, and I really ended up loving it. So glad that I did. So any more thoughts before we go here that we haven't discussed, or maybe you're in the room and you haven't said anything yet and you would like to give a comment or a question? I don't know if I can answer your questions. Something about this season or this week's episode or whatever, I would appreciate it. But also, just to let you know, if you are watching this after it was live, I am replying to all messages. Leave me a message on my channel and I'll get back to you. So Jay, we are in season 4. But there's not that many episodes in each season, and literally when I started binging it, it just was very fast. It was so fast to watch it because the episodes are so short, and most of the shows that I watch have really long episodes. So when you're like binging them, you can just knock out several, or knock out like a season in just a couple of days if you have a lot of extra time, and I know some of us do at this point. Shirwa says, do I think Molly and Issa need to take some time apart? Yeah, I mean, it just seems to keep getting more heated every week, especially with them this week fighting over a parking spot. And just especially, I think Issa was pretty disappointed when Molly was not going to ask Andrew for help with something that Issa really needs help with. I think she was really let down by that. So, yeah, it just seems like they're just really at each other's throats, like really a lot of, bad vibes, for a lack of a better term. Fictional Fantasy says, do I think Molly and Issa will become friends again? Yes, absolutely. I think they have a really good foundation. So I don't know if they're going to resolve it this season. That's kind of what I've been thinking, but I don't know. But absolutely, I don't see them not being friends. And I think they almost tried to put us in a situation or make us think that Issa was going to like replace Molly with Condola, but I don't see that working out at all now because of Condola's relationship or past relationship with Lawrence, whatever's going on there. Maybe they could, maybe if Lawrence and Condola broke up, maybe Condola and Issa could be good friends. I don't know, but not if she's dating Lawrence, not if Issa's back with Lawrence. I think it's just too messy anyway. And I don't think Condola is going to be somebody who would replace Molly. And I also don't really feel like Condola is going to be a character that's going to be with the show for season after season. So, but I think Molly and Issa I think they have a great past, and I think they were really good friends at one time, and I don't think that's just going to get thrown away. So, but I hope you guys are doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. We're still in quarantine. So I know some people have opened back up. My state has not. And we're going to start relaxing restrictions toward the end of this month. So I guess that's good. I hope it works out and we don't have to be right back in quarantine a couple months down the road. But it's at least giving some hope, I guess, a little bit of hope that we can do more things if we choose. And I know some people don't choose, even though things are going to open up, they're choosing not to go out. So that's everyone's personal choice. But maybe I will go some places, like get my hair cut and stuff, because I'd like to do that. Just be careful, But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to talk about the show every week. And I will talk to you guys next week right here, same time on my channel. Bye, guys.